What's up YouTube? Today I want to show you my new preset pack for Vital. Let's dive in and have a look. So for those who have been following me for a while and you saw my previous preset pack, it was for Serum. This one is a little bit different. That one was kind of more designed for sequences and that kind of thing, more kind of advanced stuff, whereas this is more of a kind of mega pack kind of thing, more kind of all of your essentials, kick drums, bass drums, and lead sounds and that kind of thing. So essentially in this video, what I want to try to do is see, how quickly we can use these sounds to create a compelling main part for a track. So I've got a blank project open here. I'm going to use some of these sounds from my preset pack as well as audition some of the other ones to show you kind of what's happening in the bank to create a main part for this track. So first thing, this might also be a bit of a learning thing for some of you guys as to how I kind of, how I structure my arrangement process when creating a track. So the first thing I will usually do is I will start creating like the main section, the main drop, so to speak. So what we can do is we can just put in a ruler track and find like the kind of 3-4 minutes kind of mark over here, somewhere around there. So that gives us a lot of time to build up to that kind of main part. And I want to create something like, a full baseline arrangement here, and then I can kind of dumb it down from there. I'm not going to do that all in this video, but I'm going to try create the main section in this video. So yeah, let's add an instance of Vital and see what we can come up with. So the bank consists of 100 presets, couple of basses, 2 kick drums, one kind of more full-on and one kind of more goer type of thing, and a bunch of leads, well over 20, a bunch of pads, and a bunch of sequences. So I did say that this pack is quite different to the previous one, the Automaton, which is kind of more complex, melodic, and sequence-based stuff. But this does have a lot of sequences and that kind of thing in the actual pack. So, due to the kind of vast modular capabilities within Vital, I definitely took advantage of that. So there's a bit of everything in this pack, a lot of sound effects and that kind of thing. So I think, just to start things off, let's go ahead and maybe try find look for like a sequence or pad kind of sound that we can use as a kind of backbone or kind of melodic theme for the track. Okay, that's a good start. Nice kind of classic acid sound. So what I want to do is I just want to put in a single note. I'm going to figure out the key and stuff once I've got a kick and a bass in there. We can start looking at different keys and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to put in one long C note over here. And yeah, this is also, it's going to show you kind of the power of having things in preset as opposed to samples, because you can kind of build this arrangement and audition it in different keys as you transpose these MIDIs and stuff like that. So at this point, we're still in C. Okay, I'm just going to put some light Cubase EQ on that sound to remove some of the lows. And now we can go ahead and we can create another instance of Vital, and let's maybe start looking at adding in a kick drum. So let's go ahead over to the bank over here. Let's choose the full-on kick drum. I think that's the kind of more of the vibe that we're going for today. This might be a little bit loud, so I'm just going to turn the volume down. We can always just go ahead and change the volumes and all that stuff a little bit later on when we get a little bit more technical with it. But for now, I'm just kind of getting these MIDIs and these sounds in. So I'm going to put chapters in for those who want to skip to kind of just more sound-orientated demos and stuff later on in the video. But, this just for you guys and for my channel, I'd like to throw in a little bit of extra information with all of my videos. I think with this one, there are a couple of, like I said, a couple of different bass sounds in this pack. There's a kind of square bass sound, which is kind of more for slower rhythmical stuff. But I kind of made them in order of my personal favorite to my least personal favorite, if that makes sense. But I mean, depending on what kind of style you want, I think this number 3 and 4 are kind of more deep sounds, more for darker kind of stuff. Whereas this one has a lot more of a kind of high-end click, or more of a transient, which is nice for full-on and progressive kind of stuff. So anyway, let's just put in a bunch of notes, and then we can go ahead and start transposing and that kind of thing, figuring out the key we want to go with. Okay, now that I've got a kick drum, bass line, and a kind of melodic element in there, I want to start trying to find the key that I want to work with. So what I usually do is I'll just go ahead and transpose the MIDIs using a MIDI modifier. So at this point it's in C. I'll usually start it around A and go down from there, and we can see how things kind of fit together. So I'm going to leave the kick for the time being. We can just see how these two melodic elements fit together, and then we can tune the kick if we need to. But it's not often something that I do that meticulously, so we can just we can go with our ear in this regard. So here's another interesting thing I want to show you with this kick preset. So you know when you detune kicks, often you lose that kind of like high-end clickiness. So I've added an extra parameter here that you can boost that just adds an extra little bit of pitch envelope to the signal to kind of add a little bit more of that punch if you do detune the kick and you need some more of that. Cool, that's sounding good. I like that key, I like the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render these kick and bass to single audio clips. It'll just make things a little bit easier going on further when I do have a full project, and also in terms of phase and stuff like that. Cool, that's sounding good. So let's add in another layer. I want to go through some of these other sounds here. So there's some pretty cool probability-based FM sequences and stuff in here. What that means is, let me just try find one of them quickly. So basically how I've kind of set these up is you've got a macro to control the probability, so how many times it's going to trigger in the sequence, and there's also some randomization happening on the filter by default. But if you actually want to change the filter yourself, what happens when you use this filter macro is it, as you turn it up, it bypasses that modulation that's going through to the filter and allows you to kind of filter it manually, if that makes sense. So that's a cool way of getting these kind of like regimented randomness, but then also sweeps of filters as well. It's something that I've picked up quite often in like foresty and high tech and dark side, is this combination of filter sweeps and randomization of modulation. So this is a cool way of being able to get that. So I'm actually just going to copy paste this MIDI over onto this, because it's just a single note being triggered on the sequence, so it should correlate. Okay, I want to show you another interesting sequence that I've made here, and then I'm just going to maybe addition some of the sequences and let you guys hear what's there, and then leave the rest to your imagination. Then I'm going to go through some of the pads, leads, sound effects, and that kind of stuff. So these, where are they now? Sequence, top loop, 1 and 2. So essentially, I try to create a kind of hi-hat percussion type of loop with these. Both of them are kind of similar, but with different articulations in terms of the macros and how they kind of play. So these are very cool for creating quick percussion or rhythmical stuff, adding that to your track without having to add in too many different samples and that kind of thing. Let me just show you what this sounds like in solo. Okay, so then this one has a bit of a kind of glitchy thing built into this macro over here. So a similar thing with adding hats and snares with the first two macros. The actual rhythm itself is a little bit different, but now it gives you the ability to kind of mangle the way that it's kind of... how can I explain this? So what mangle parameter is doing is it's basically changing the phase of a bunch of these LFOs in steps. So it's basically offsetting the rhythmical hits of a couple of these LFOs, if that makes sense. So check this out. Cool, that's sounding great. I actually want to render these out just so I can kind of add more layers and more layers. It's just a percussion loop. Nice little thing to add to the track without having to go search for a bunch of samples. Okay, I think this one is more of like a FM thing, so we can go with more of like a gated pattern here. Let's just put in something random. Well, actually not put in something random. I'm going to program it, but I'll program it kind of randomly. Cool, that's sounding great. Okay, just a few more. Then I want to look at some pads, and then I think that's it. And I'll leave the rest to you guys' imagination. Okay, let's look at some of the pads in this bank that I have made for Vital. So I think something particularly exciting about Vital, in my opinion, is the really, really good sounding effects and the really good sounding comb filters. So for those who like to piece apart patches and, learn some things, you'll probably figure out the idea behind a lot of these pads is quite similar. I try to take advantage of the really nice sounding effects and the really nice sounding comb filters and that kind of thing to create these almost kind of like resonator type tones. Check this out. So this one is kind of based on my experimentations with Eurorack modular synthesis. It's kind of, for those who know the whole rings into clouds joke, I was kind of trying to create a rings into clouds patch without using those two. Trying to go for the tone that a lot of the stuff that they get out of it. Obviously using randomization, quantized pitch, and lots of reverb. There's actually a few of these kind of rings into clouds inspired patches for those who want to dig it apart and try to figure out which ones. Yeah, anyway. I kind of like that one. I think that's kind of fitting the vibe I'm trying to go for here. It's a little bit spooky, very nice and kind of harmonically rich. I think that'll be a nice kind of a nice fit for this kind of track. But yeah, let's just remember that. What I can do is I can actually just favorite. We can carry on looking through some of these sounds. I think that could be also pretty cool for an intro.
and let me show you some of the sound effects as well. Okay, that's about it. So I'm going to play out with some just audio examples of this. So if you guys are keen for just audio examples, then stay tuned. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to post a link to where you can grab this pack in the description. And yeah, for those who are following this video today, which is actually Black Friday, which I'm releasing this video, hopefully, if I get it done in time, then yeah, there's going to be a special for the next couple of days on this pack. So be sure to grab it ASAP. Yeah, see you guys soon. Cheers.